The morning rush at Harbor Creek Coffee House had barely begun when the room shifted around one quiet man in a faded navy jacket. No one knew his name. No one cared to ask. Yet every pair of eyes noticed him the moment he stepped inside. Some with curiosity, some with impatience, and a few with mockery that would soon come back to haunt them. Because the man they judged was an elderly Navy veteran whose past carried more weight than any of them could imagine. Asterisk, what city are you watching from today? If this story resonated with you, hit subscribe for more real stories about extraordinary people. He walked with a slow, deliberate step, as though every movement carried decades of memories. His jacket bore a single patch, sun-worn and stitched by a hand that understood honor far better than the room that now watched him. He reached the counter, holding a few crumpled bills, unaware that the day would test him in a way life had not done in years. The barista smiled politely, but a group of young customers near the window did not. They whispered loudly enough for half the shop to hear. Their voices carried arrogance, sharpened by ignorance. The veteran lowered his eyes, choosing silence instead of reaction. He only wanted a simple cup of coffee, a moment of warmth, nothing more. Yet judgment is loud, and kindness is often quiet until someone chooses to rise. The veteran took a seat in the corner near the coat rack. He placed his hands around the warm cup as if trying to absorb something deeper than heat. His shoulders curled inward. His breath carried the weight of a long life lived in service, now met with casual disrespect by strangers who knew nothing about sacrifice. The group of mockers grew bolder. One imitated the veteran's slow walk. Another laughed at the worn patch on his jacket. A third claimed he was pretending to be a soldier for attention. The words carried cruelty shaped by immaturity. The veteran remained still, enduring insults he never deserved. The barista hesitated, torn between speaking up and keeping her job. Others in the shop looked away, some uncomfortable, others indifferent. The veteran stayed silent, but his silence was not weakness. It was discipline. It was the restraint of someone who had faced storms far greater than a few unkind voices in a coffee shop. Then the glass door opened with a sharp swing. 3 Marine soldiers stepped inside, still in uniform from morning training. They scanned the room automatically, a habit drilled into them from years of discipline. Their eyes landed on the elderly man in the corner. In an instant, their posture changed. Shoulders straightened. Expressions hardened with recognition. One Marine spoke quietly. "That is him." Before anyone understood what was happening, the soldiers moved toward the veteran with the kind of respect that transforms a room. The mockers fell silent, confused. The barista froze mid-pour. A hush swept across the shop, as if the air itself paused. The Marines reached the table and stood at attention. The lead Marine, a sergeant with a chest full of service ribbons, addressed the veteran with a steady voice. "Sir, permission to join you." Every mocking voice in the room collapsed into guilt. The elderly man looked up, startled. His eyes filled with a mix of humility and disbelief. He nodded, almost shyly. The Marines took seats around him, guarding him with their presence. Not aggressively, but protectively, as if they were shielding a priceless chapter of history. The sergeant leaned forward. "Sir, our unit studied your rescue mission from the Gulf. Your actions saved dozens of lives. You are the reason many of us wear this uniform." The room shook with understanding. The elderly veteran had not been a simple soldier. He had been a hero whose quiet life carried stories that echoed through military halls long after his service ended. The mockers stared at the floor, shame pouring over their faces with every word spoken by the Marines. Their cruelty had targeted a man who had given everything so they could live their lives without fear. They had mocked a legend without knowing his name. The veteran whispered that he was no hero. He said he had only done what any sailor would have done. The Marines rejected that with quiet firmness. They said courage does not depend on recognition. It depends on heart. The sergeant stood and addressed the room with clear conviction. "Show some respect." This man deserves it more than any of us. Not a single person argued. The barista stepped forward, offering the veteran a fresh cup of coffee on the house. Her eyes softened with remorse. Others approached with apologies. The veteran accepted their words with grace, even though none were owed to him. The mockers finally walked toward him. Their bravado had drained away, replaced with regret. They offered apologies that trembled with sincerity. The veteran simply nodded. He had learned long ago that anger only burdens the heart of the one who carries it. The Marine stayed with him, sharing stories, laughing gently, bringing color back into a morning that had begun with unkindness. The coffee shop buzzed with a different kind of energy now. Respect, reflection, gratitude. As the hour passed, the veteran prepared to leave. He stood slowly. The Marines rose instantly. They saluted him with unwavering discipline. The entire shop watched in silence, many with tears in their eyes. The veteran gave a humble nod and stepped outside. The wind carried the faint scent of the sea, as if welcoming him home again. He walked away not as an old man mocked by strangers, but as a reminder of the dignity that often hides behind quiet faces and worn clothing. The shop remained silent long after he left. The mockers sat still, transformed by the weight of their choices and the lesson they never expected to learn. Kindness gained meaning. Respect gained depth. Judgment wilted in the shadow of truth. Later, the sergeant spoke softly to the barista. Sometimes the greatest warriors walk among us unnoticed. The world forgets, but those who serve never do. And from that day forward, no one in Harbor Creek Coffee House ever looked at an elderly veteran the same way again. They had witnessed the difference between arrogance and honor, between ignorance and gratitude, between mocking a stranger and understanding the strength carried by those who have lived a lifetime in service. Some lessons arrived quietly. Others enter wearing uniforms. This one arrived just in time. What did this story make you feel? Where are you watching from? Subscribe to Soul Relief Stories for more real stories that heal the heart.